This is the most I've had of a modular setup for more than a year now since I took down the city. I just got some of them out from their storage place to actually start putting together. And today I want to talk about this guy right here. Brand new modular, 100% custom, not based on any set or MOC that I'm aware of. Just started putting pieces down on a base plate and kept going until I was happy with the current iteration. Might see a few things changed here and there. And that's something I actually think going forward, if I do have a MOC that's completely custom like this, instead of putting it on Rebrickable right away with instructions, I think I'm going to try to give it a month or two for me to look at it. And generally in that time frame, there's things that I see that I want to tweak and change a little bit. And then after it has sat there and finally has it exactly where I want it, that would be a good point to put it all together in Rebrickable. So I'm not opposed to doing that with this modular. I'm sure it's over 1,000 pieces, comparable size to the actual Townhouse set that I recently expanded. I don't think it's quite as dense as the Lego set, just in terms of how many small pieces there are and interior details as of now. But the other thing I want to do with this MOC is maybe make it into more of a challenge. Going back a year on this channel where we did our subscriber challenge, I think something I want to do with this is make a views challenge for this video. So, if this video reaches a certain number of views, then that would be the point which I make instructions to put on Rebrickable. So that should give me plenty of time to look over the details, make changes if I want to do that, and then also there's a little bit of incentive on the video side for that. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Like I said, today looking at this modular that I've been working on. I built this over the course of a week, start to finish, from base plate to finale of the roof, and it's a little faster than my typical MOC usually, but since I have been doing a lot of sorting, I had stuff accessible, and I also had a general idea of the footprint that I wanted to go with, and that got refined throughout. So basically the first day was foundation and first floor. Chose the color scheme as I figured out which bricks I had on hand and which ones I didn't. The second day was kind of iterating the first floor and then working on the second floor. And then the third and fourth days was the final floor here with a lot of the roof detail, and just again going all the way back through the whole model. There were color changes on the trim work and porch colors, and then you'll actually see as you go around the side of the house, the trim color changes to white. So the facade facing the street is all this brown kind of finished wood look, and then the trim work and kind of the accent color for the side and the back of the house has this white with the frames and the different shutters and all that detail there. So the other thing I want to note right off the start here is the size that this is built on, and this little bit of assembly right here. You might be wondering what that's all about. This is actually going to be part one of a 3-part build of a 2 base plate modular kind of section. So instead of building a single modular on a single base plate, 32 by 32, or even what the Lego group does is they'll split and do 2 kind of these 16 wide modulars, and that's what the Townhouse has, that teal one. Instead of going for that approach, I was thinking a townhouse, a good size for another townhouse, maybe stepping that up a little bit, would be placing 3 on 2 base plates. So there's 64 studs of width to work with here. Both sides will be kind of have this tie-in with the modulars, and that's where these Technic bricks come in. So that's where you'll actually attach it. I'll be putting it into my layout, like you saw I had Cafe Corner here. But then, instead of splitting on this base plate in the middle, this is all going to be built in, and that center house will be somewhere in here as well. So this little bit that I have started is going to be part of the porch for the center house, and then I have absolutely nothing for the other end row. I'm kind of going to do these one at a time is the plan, and figure out each as its own color scheme as I build those. So start to finish with the first end cap, and then this wall is going to be completely flat. The surface here will be matching up against an official modular or another modular project. We have the Technic pins to do that there. So this has to be completely flat, but what that means for this side is I'm actually doing an alleyway here with these masonry bricks, kind of building that up. That means this side can have more detail, so it doesn't necessarily have to have this flat surface. I'm going to be putting in the kind of the separator between the floors, some of these window details here, all that kind of stuff I can put in on this side because it's actually over this alley and it's not tied up against another house. That'll be the same case for the center house. The side that's facing the alley can maybe have a little bit more variation, but then I think these two houses are going to be tight against each other. And it might even be something where if I want to match up details between the two of these, I could build the center wall out of some 2x bricks. In that case, I'd actually be building these up at the same time. Again, haven't really decided how I want to approach that yet, but the first house here is done, and I do have a little bit of interior work to go through. So one more thing before we jump to the interior is the main sections. This does lift off with the tiled sections here, so the top section lifts off of the main floor, and then this is all attached down to the base plate. So this does not pick up like the teal modular. That one actually has 3 studs worth of a basement. This one is all built completely down, so that's all tight there. And then for our second floor, that's isolated as well, and the roof section lifts off. And then for the roof section, we have this small panel that can access the rest of it, but the kind of the perimeter is all built down to help lock in roof slopes and skylights and the slope part here. So this is what does lift off. This one also, it doesn't have much of an access to the tower on that side, but I built it so that it comes on and off easily, where this might actually get bumped more often or need to get down in there for some reason. So this is kind of something that comes off, but for the most part it's just going to be hanging out there. Those are the main sections. Let's look at the interior. So with this section off, we can get a better idea of the layout inside. We have our front door here, and that has these 2 windows on either side, kind of a nice entryway. And that's actually tiled, 1x3 tiles on the inside. That's more of a building feature than a decoration feature. I had to cover up some of the gaps in the floor that ended up from using these 6x6 round plates. So those tiles are actually hiding stuff rather than just being decorative. To the right side of the door is this little porch area, and this was mostly dictated by the 1x4 fence size, but it ended up working really nice. And again, going with this wood finish for the front of the building, and then the rest sides and back get that white trim. But I do have one of the old brown of these doors. I did check, they were produced in reddish brown, so that'd be the ideal color for this door, is this modern reddish brown. I don't actually have any of those, I just have the older retired color, so it's close enough that you don't really notice. Plus it's underneath. When the second floor comes on, it kind of gets hidden back in the shadow, so it's not absolutely crucial at this stage. And then I actually had a surprising good time building the flower box. I thought that was going to be one of the things, one of those details I have to build, but I was really happy with how this turned out. Just a little bit of the sprinkling of red flowers in there, and then the way that they actually attach really helps fill this out more than if they would just kind of place down. So I did put a little of time into that, getting that that right in terms of trying to balance the colors of the house with a little bit of decor out front. I think that turned out good. When you walk in, on the left side we've got these stairs going up, and that's kind of where that goes on the next floor as well, so the stairwell continues up. The furnishings in here right now is just the kitchen, and this has some small counter space on either side of the sink, And the sink, I'm really happy with. I got an old Technic ball and socket connection to actually put that sink together. So I think that turned out nice, and I like the way that it kind of bumps out and all matches. And there's some upper cabinets here as well, using some window frames and the lattice panels to fill that in. I also built a small curtain section for the side window. I think that helps give the interior a little more of a filled out look. And then as you go past the kitchen, there's a small room, small hallway to get out to the back door. And that is about it for the first floor. Oh yeah, there's also a little door here. It would be like a pantry under the stairs. So no Harry Potter in there though. For our second floor, in United States terms, I think this is actually called the first floor if you're in Europe, but I'll be referring to it as the second floor. You'll come up those stairs, is where that access is right there. And of course the stairs continue on up right above that. But this actually has this center dividing wall, and this can either be an office or a bedroom, kind of a longer narrow room. I have a little bit of furnishing with the cupboard and the drawers, and then I put a small desk, writing desk in this little window bump out. So this is actually the base of the tower that continues up, and with the 3 surrounding windows, that's kind of a nice little writing area. A solid white door, and then some of the decor I have on the walls is these maps. So on the first floor, next to the pantry door is a map, and then there's 2 more on here. That would be kind of the theme of the decoration. And then for the facade that faces the street, again back to that brown, we've got kind of an arrangement of 3 windows above the door, and then above the porch, this actually comes out. It completely covers the porch, and then it's an arch with a little bit of the windows recessed. And I've got a little violet flag there. So when this is placed on top, and the roof section will finish off the building for a total of 3 stories. This has a smaller access. I think it's a 10 by 12 rectangle area, lifts off. And for the top floor, there's not a continuing set of stairs, it's just open. And the rest of the floor doesn't have too much finished out at all. There's no interior walls. I wanted to be sure that there could be a reach in underneath the slopes. So the entire right side of the building is these tall 2x2x3 slope pieces. Just 2 layers of those on top of a starting layer, 45 degrees. And to kind of lock everything in, these plates are completely locked down. So that kind of ties in the wall to this other side and helps that from wanting to push in too much. The front, above the left side, is a small awning and this little arch window here. So this went through a couple iterations. I'm happy with this for now, but I could see this changing in the waiting period. And then above the right side is more of a tower structure. And one of the details that I still need a part for, I only had one, is this hinge piece. And this is going to help cover up the back side of these inverted slopes, which is what works really well against the convex corner here. So I'll need to build another one of these little assemblies. Just need one of these pieces in tan again, and I can put one of those on each side and kind of finish out the front walls of that tower. That has a nice row of windows that goes up. Small 6x6 cube roof shape on that side, and then when you go to the back, that tower that continues up from below has a nice 4-pane window, and then more of a rectangular finishing tower piece here. On the other side of the back is more of a skylight structure, so this helps eliminate a lot of these black slopes, just kind of bringing that across in this 8x5 area. And these are really snugly held in place actually, but they're not actually connected stud-wise. So there's 2 fences holding in the bottom, and then where it goes up into the top is a recess of a plate thickness. So that's why this had to be wide enough to help hold the skylight windows in. And then the front section of the roof is all a separate plate. So studs out here with the plate building, and that is connected with some of these hinge plates. And then this little section just nestles right on there. And with everything stacked together, the end result is this townhouse structure. So a nice combination. We've got a few different things going on with the top floor roof. That helps to break up the monotony a little bit. Main color scheme is this classic blue. So that was kind of interesting. My first choice was dark red, and then I didn't have enough bricks. So I started looking around, well, what do I have a lot of bricks? Of course, it's going to be your primary colors. Lego really churns those out. So blue looked like a good option. Started working with that, and then when I got to the back here where I wanted this arch, I don't have a blue 1x4 arch. So I looked for a nice complementary color. I already had this floor in regular tan, so I wanted to see what it looked like with a regular tan kind of subsection halfway up the wall, and it looked good. So I finished off that floor with the blue and tan, and started on the next one. Ended up doing the same thing with this arch above the tower window, and that looked just fine. So I kept going, and then the top floor I decided I don't need any blue up here, I'm just going to continue the tan. And turns out there's not a whole lot of walls anyways, it's mostly these roof slopes. The biggest thing I'm not completely sold on is the two different window trim colors, and on the front with the brown, moving around to the side with the white. I think it's going to help a lot when the next building is in place and really cuts off the view into this alley section, and then you won't really be able to see unless you're looking right down through the alley, and even then it's just these two that stick out. So the white, this window frame style that I used on the side, and then the skylight, I think that's the only color, maybe the white and the dark gray, that I have in that frame style. So that was kind of the setting that pace on the sides. But again, once I have this next building in place, this one is going to affect how much of that is built as well, just in terms of, you know, where are the roof slopes lining up. I want it to look nice next to it, so it's going to help to have this one done and then bring this one up next to it and get a feel for how they look together. If I put it next to the teal modular, the townhouse, that's number 107, which is actually an Easter egg. The internal color ID for the Lego group for that teal color is 107, so that's why they have that number on the house. If you follow that pattern with every other number on one side of the street, this would be 109 or 105. But I don't have a lot of decorated tiles or bricks to kind of indicate that. I don't really have a spot open where I could put a house number. I did do a little bit with some lights. We'll look at that before the end of the video. So the front has these two pendant lights on either side of the window. Why is this guy here? This is a soccer guy from like 2004. He could live here, I guess. He matches the color scheme. And continuing with the lights, I've got some lamp, the dish lamps above each of the windows up here. And then I also have a dish lamp above the back. I actually really like that one, kind of how it nestles up in the arch there. So yeah, a little bit of those details you don't actually see from the top. I like getting down to that minifig level with stuff like that. So a little bit of the studs out building, especially when you get up to here with the roof, just to get a little bit of the, you know, the overhang. I like to put those as it kind of builds up and out. Helps break up having a flat face. So I'm doing a little bit with that, but for the most part it's all stud stacking. So straightforward, classic Lego building methods. This is it for this custom modular. Like I said, I'm not going to focus on instructions for this right away for two reasons. One of them being I might find something I want to change, and then I'd have to do that in the studio model and in the PDF model or printout. So I'm just going to wait, give this a little bit of time, come back to it, and if it still looks good, to me, or if I see anything I want to update, that'll just give me a little window to work on that without having it spill over. The other reason is I want to see how much you guys could get this out. Let's say 1,000 views. How long will it take to get this video up there? So share away, I guess, and we'll set that 1,000 view goal. Whenever that gets reached is when I will start the instruction process for this modular, and eventually we'll be doing something similar for the rest of the base plate, because this actually won't work as a standalone. It's 18 studs wide, not 16, so it isn't something you could just build on a half base plate and then stick that into your modular row, just the way that this side works. So of course this will go along with the other two whenever we get to that point. And maybe it's the case that when this reaches 1,000 views, I'll have the other two done, and I could kind of make that 3-in-1. So we'll see when we get there. We'll just put that to get started and see what happens. Thanks for watching today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the tour. If I get some more furniture built in here, I might take a look at that down the road, but for now, calling it good, and we'll see you for the next house.